Hello, night owls. If you're subscribed to my channel, I appreciate it. Today I wanted to talk about something a little bit different. Something that I struggle with daily and pretty much ever since I was a young teenager. But on here I go by Lord Chris. You can call me whatever you want. Chris, Christopher, whatever you want. So, sometimes sharing these stories are hard. Um, But a lot more people go through these things than I think a lot of people realize. So maybe you're the type of person that for the longest time I couldn't even really explain what these things felt like to somebody else. So I never even would tell anybody else. And I would just go around and do my best to pretend that I was normal. But maybe if this video helps you, you can share it with somebody that you want them to know the things you're going through, and maybe you give them a better understanding of maybe how you're feeling. But for me, I struggle with agoraphobia, social anxiety, and panic attacks. So I'm going to go through all three of those things, and I'm going to give you a definition and the source that that definition comes from. And then I'm going to explain what it feels like for me and what I do. Um, so let's first start with what is agoraphobia? That's a lot of times what people ask. I mean, in the word agora, I mean, maybe sounds like you're afraid of gore, blood and guts, but no, that's not agoraphobia. The definition of agoraphobia, according to the National Institute of Mental Health, agoraphobia is an anxiety disorder characterized by the fear of or anxiety about being in a public place, crowds, or situations where escape may be difficult or embarrassing. It can lead to avoidance of these situations and, in several cases, confinement to one's home. And that's a source from the National Institute of Mental Health. Now, there's some days where agoraphobia affects me very extremely, but I wouldn't say that I, on a scale of 1 to 10, am the 10 where I'm confined to being at home, but I'm pretty close to that. Um, I much rather would be home, um, enjoying the simple things, relaxing, as opposed to obviously going out where there's a lot of people. Um, so the biggest struggles I have with this when I'm dealing with it would be situations like, um, let's say it depends on where you work. If you work in a place that has a lot of people, um, or a lot of customers, we can say, um, I would say the customer aspect is a little bit worse than actually a lot of employees, because sometimes you can kind of just do your own thing depending on what job you have, and the only time it really gets bad is if, for some reason your boss makes you try to speak in front of all the other employees or something like that. But that could affect you in that way with jobs. It's very hard to keep a job or have a job when, look, agoraphobia is super strong for you. Um, but for me, where it affects me the most would be, well, okay. The reason why I named this channel Night Owls is because I'm a night owl. I prefer, and there could be a lot of reasons for this, but I prefer the nighttime. Um, there's just less going on. Um, I've always been a night owl, maybe because of these things that I deal with. I've worked many graveyard shifts when I was a patrol officer to various other jobs. And I've always been a night owl. So the thing that affects me the most is so I go to the grocery store like maybe 2 times a week, maybe once a week if I'm lucky, um, because you know, I help try to take care of my mom, and she's always needing me to go to the store. But I wait till what helps me do this is I wait until maybe 2 hours before the store closes, like the Price Chopper I go to closes at I think 10 or 11. So I'll usually go out there around 9 o'clock when there's hardly anybody in there, and it's the environment seems way more calm, and that helps me. But there's some days I can't avoid it, and I have to go during the peak times. And in those situations, the only way I can get through it is uh, sometimes I'll sit in the parking lot of the store for 15 to 20 minutes trying to just psych myself up, um, and just get in there and get out. Like, I try to make my mentality like just focus on what I need to get it, and get the heck out of there as fast as possible. I don't know if that's something anyone else does or tries, or if you don't try it and see if it helps. But definitely going late at night, that helps a lot with situations like that. Um, so that is what agoraphobia is to me. And a lot of that is brought on over the years. I'm sure, you know, what's going on in the world. I'm sure that doesn't help. Although I've had this since I was in high school and in middle school. I didn't want to go to school. I skipped school. I just felt like, being around all those people crammed, packed, I couldn't handle it. Um, and it just was extremely difficult for me to go to school. So I've dealt with this for a long time, but if it affects you, maybe take what I'm saying, and if you need to tell somebody this, try to explain it to them that way and see how they receive it. Maybe write something out, or heck, show them this video. So that's a little bit of what agoraphobia is. So now let's talk about what is social anxiety. Now, the source on this definition is the Mayo Clinic. So their definition of social anxiety disorder, also known as social phobia, is a mental health condition characterized by feelings of excessive and persistent fear or anxiety in social situations. It can lead to avoidance of social interactions, difficulty making friends, and feelings of embarrassment or self-consciousness, and that is the Mayo Clinic source. Now, for me, this is what I feel like there's a lot of aspects I have here. And everybody that has these disorders, the severity of it could be less or more than someone else. It's always different. But let's just kind of dive into the definition. Social phobia. Um, for me, like, I mean, that could be public speaking or speaking to large crowds or groups of people. Um, that could be just, I'll give you an example. I went into a busy day into a store, and I immediately, when I was in there, I felt like I want to be in the corner where nobody can see me because I, I'm 6'3". I'm kind of I'm not like fat or anything, but I used to be a baseball player. And so, like, I felt bigger than everyone in there. I felt like everybody noticed me. Um, I felt like everybody was staring at me. Like, um, I was, and even the countertops and the registers, for some reason, to me, they all felt smaller than what should be normal or average. So I don't know. And there was and there was people in there and they were looking at me, and I just felt socially like I wanted to be distant from that. Um, but you know, it, when it does say feelings of excessive and persistent fear or anxiety in social situations, for me, I think that is spot on. Um, like I cannot stop my brain from thinking unless I somehow can distract myself. And sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't. And that's why gaming is something that really helps me. That's why I like D&D so much because if I'm writing a campaign, I can get creative and you know um, take my mind off of that constant uh, persistent fear of anxiety. So there's things you can do. Being artistic definitely helps, but I mean, just distracting myself or trying to focus on something else if I can help in those situations. But most of the time, it doesn't help as much as it should. Um, and then the feeling of embarrassment and self-consciousness, like you know, that's the whole point of that story. When I said I was in that store, I felt embarrassed. I felt self-conscious. I felt like I said, I felt like I was bigger than everybody else. I felt like, you know, I'm not rich. I don't have any money. I don't even know when I go out and buy me clothes, to be honest with you. I don't even know the last time I did. Um, and so, maybe a little bit part of that is body dysmorphia as well. Like, um, I don't think that I'm you know, the sexiest man in the world or anything like that, and I definitely do not act like it, and I don't like when anyone else acts like it. I think that's conceited, and honestly, come on. Um, but you know, like when I look in the mirror, I see something different than what everybody else sees. So a lot of these things can be, basically what social anxiety disorder can feel like. I mean, it can lower your self-esteem and your confidence. It can make you more reserved and laid back, and make it harder for you to meet new people and attending social events or group settings. Um, I can tell you, I don't really have hardly any friends. Like I can count on one hand, maybe the full hand. I mean, so it's hard because a lot of times people don't understand that this is stuff that I struggle with, and if they haven't ever felt like these things before, there's no way for them to possibly even comprehend what it feels like. And especially the next topic I'm about to talk about, which is panic attacks. What is a panic attack and what does it feel like? This is the hardest thing for somebody that's never had a panic attack before to even understand. There's no way they could understand it unless they've had one before. Because honestly, it can be, I mean, it you feel like, I mean, at least for me, sometimes if you feel like you're about to die, like you're going to have a heart attack. I mean, if you've never had that feeling, you're not going to know. But so let's go into what the definitions. So the source on this one is American Psychology Association. So their definition of a panic attack: a panic attack is a sudden episode of intense fear or discomfort that reaches a peak within minutes and includes symptoms such as rapid heartbeat, sweating, trembling, and shortness of breath. Panic attacks can occur unexpectedly or in response to a specific trigger. Now, every single part of that definition is true. Like I said, you feel like you're going to die, you feel like you're going to have a heart attack. So, symptoms is rapid heartbeat, sweating. Yes, that happens. You sweat, like you'll just start to sweat profusely. Trembling. I've had it bad where, like, I mean, I can't stop my hands from shaking. Um, Shortness of breath. Definitely. Like, I've gotten them so bad to where I will hyperventilate and pass out. Um, and the most true about the situation is they can occur unexpectedly, out of nowhere, or in response to a specific trigger. I could be perfectly fine, and then all of a sudden, for no reason at all, I can feel that I'm about to have a panic attack. So, since I don't have insurance and I don't have any ways to deal with this with medicine or anything like that, I've had to learn over the years, like, just something that will help me. And in those situations, there's especially that it's so hard because once you get to the point where you feel like you're about to die, that makes the panic attack even worse. So the only thing that I can think of to do is to, like, lay on my bed and for some reason lay on my stomach, um, kind of like almost not suffocating myself, but breathing into a pillow, and try to think about something else. Try to take your mind off of the panic attack. And these things can last a couple of minutes to several hours. It's insane. And that is very crippling and debilitating. And it's honestly very embarrassing. I am a man, after all. I do not want to have a panic attack, hyperventilate, and pass out in front of anybody, especially for the fact that I have social anxiety as well. How embarrassing would that be? And unfortunately, that has happened before. I mean, I worked a retail job and I it just out of nowhere, you know, I started to hyperventilate and I was behind the counter at the register and I hyperventilated and passed out. And I woke up and the manager and everybody was freaking out and I was so embarrassed. Um, and then other times, and I'm glad this never happened in like a risky or high risk situation, but when I was a patrol officer, I think the only reason it didn't happen is because I had to focus on something else. But like, luckily, I didn't have, a panic attack during like some of the crazy things that being a patrol officer you have to deal with. But for me, like, it was always the drive home after work, and that was graveyard shift in the morning. There were several times that drive home, 20-minute drive, I barely would get my car over on the side of the road in time before I like hyperventilated and passed out. And so it can be so crippling. And the reason why is because my mind automatically goes back to replaying that shift and thinking, could I have done better? Could I have helped that person? Could I have maybe made that person's life easier? Maybe saved that person? Whatever the case is. Um, and just feeling like I didn't do good enough. And so that's something I didn't, I wasn't in that career for very long because, it was adding a tremendous amount more stress and anxiety and panic attacks to my life. Um, but yeah, I mean, so panic attacks really suck, okay? If you have them, just try to find your method. I mean, you can try the method I do where I just like lay on my bed on my stomach, try to breathe into a pillow, try to think about something else. Um, my mom, she says, well, when that happens, maybe, just start counting, kind of like you're counting sheep. Just start counting and focus on that. I mean, I mean, and you never know when it's going to happen. It can happen out of nowhere. So, um, yeah, I mean, I wanted to let you guys know this. These are things about me. So if, people or friends or family see this, maybe they have a better understanding of who I am. It makes every aspect of my life extremely difficult. And this is how I've been since I was a teenager. Now, the weirdest part about this is I played baseball for since I was 5 years old, almost 25 years. And the only time I never felt like these things was when I was playing baseball. And that's how I correlated it because my mind was so focused on something else. Like, I was a pitcher. I was, a really good pitcher. So being a pitcher extremely helped me out because I had to focus on, okay, what do I got to do now, 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 now? What pitch am I going to throw? All this and that. Um, and it was almost like that movie with Kevin Costner where he like enters the zone and like the whole crowd fades away. So, and getting older, I can't, I can't do that anymore. I'm 41 and well, shoot. About to be 42 in less than a month. But yeah, so I wanted to let you guys know what these things are, maybe help you, give you some ideas if you struggle with these things. But I do want to thank you for watching and listening to my story. I know it wasn't easy for me to share, but I hope it helps you feel less alone in your struggles. Remember, mental health matters. People that don't have mental health issues just seem to never really fully understand what it's like. So, if you're struggling with agoraphobia, social anxiety, or panic attacks, know that there's hope for healing and recovery. Don't be afraid to reach out to a mental health professional if you can afford it. It's expensive. I can't afford it, unfortunately. But if you can't, a trusted friend or a family member or a support group for help. And, you know, some of those things could maybe help. Just having somebody to talk to about it could even help. So take things one step at a time. And remember, most importantly, to breathe, especially during an anxiety attack, a panic attack. Remember to breathe. Like, if you want to count and try to distract yourself that way, first thing is just remember breathe in and out, in and out. Just think that, then start counting, do whatever it takes. But you're not alone. Just remember one step at a time and breathe. So, if you would like to comment or if you would like to continue this conversation, please leave a comment below and subscribe to my channel and let me know what videos you would like to see or if you want to know anything about me. Let's work together to break the stigma surrounding mental health and support one another on this journey towards healing and recovery. So, if you guys want to comment on this thing and, other people comment to you and, let's be nice about it, but, um, at least doing that, you have somebody else that is experienced what you're going through and can comment and you can talk to each other. So that could be a method. So thank you. Thank you again for watching, and I wish you the best on your own path towards mental health. So feel free to share this video or gives it the thumbs up. And maybe if you find it hard to tell people about what these things mean, maybe share this video with them. That way they might have a better understanding of how you feel. So, to wrap up the video, all I'm going to say is just please, I could use the support. Definitely, if you can, please subscribe to me right over here and maybe check out my alien encounter video and maybe check out my latest gaming video on here if you're into gaming. So, but anyway, thank you for watching and hopefully this helps somebody. I hope it helps somebody.